Welcome to another edition of Rams Up Roundtable. I'm your host, Tom, at Ramsbeat on X, and joined today by a regular guest, Ian. How you doing?
Doing good, gentlemen. I mean, God, the off season's flying by, and before you know, we'll be at training camp in Woodland Hills. How about that? Oof.
Woo! Gosh, it is flying by. And
Yeah,
also joined by my co-host on Rams Up Podcast, Mark. How's it going, Mark?
Pretty good. Always good stuff to talk about. Let's get into it.
Lots of good stuff to talk about always. So today we're going to dive into the depth chart.
yeah.
Post draft, we did a
Mm.
deep dive on it before the draft and found some monstrous holes or craters or
Oh,
whatever you want to call them.
yeah, it
And
was bad, Tom. Shoot.
yeah, and I'll tell you what, this front office did an amazing job
Hmm.
of filling those holes. So we're going to go through the post draft depth chart today, get our takes, outline who's where, and what it looks like. So let's dive right in
Yeah,
to the defensive line. So on the defensive line, we have returning. So we have returning Kobe Turner and Bobby Brown, and then we've added Braden Fisk.
yeah.
So I mean, this was a huge right. This was a huge need, Ian. What are your thoughts on this? What this looked like before, and what we've done since? Obviously, also added Tyler Davis as well.
Yeah, I mean, remember we were all kind of pro offense a little bit in the first round. We were like, you know what, a Roman Tuesday trade up sounds pretty fun, and it sounds like it would be worth it based off all the other things we had talked about in previous episodes. Check those out when you got some free time, everybody. And as we did our depth chart before the draft, and we did the defensive line, and we went through everything, we were like, man, this group ain't that great, and respect to everybody that's fighting for spots on the roster. I mean, no disrespect with that, but we didn't feel great about everyone outside of Turner, right? Bobby Brown's been hurt or missed time, suspension, wasn't ready rookie season, all those factors in his last, 3 seasons. And then we had, was it Laryl Murchison being the other defensive starting tackle in our base 3-4 scheme, and this is what we're going off of, everybody. And we'll get into nuances of the other spots, but we didn't feel great about it. We didn't feel great about it. Now to look at this page, and again, if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. And you can check out this graphic with us here that we're looking at. And gosh, it's just so much better. We see Braden Fisk, who will now be officially number 55 as a rookie. He will keep the same number as he did from Florida State. Awesome three technique player. And we talked about the last roundtable we had. He's going to fill in and be an immediate starter right away. And obviously, he's got to earn it, but I think he will. Shocker. And then we have Davis from Clemson, who will officially be number 90 as a rookie, to be the backup or maybe even starter for Bobby Brown. And again, Bobby's been solid when he's been out there. A true nose guard, big body, can plug holes, but he's missed time. And we have somebody who was really good at that at Clemson, 4-year starter, All-American, All-ACC as a nose guard. So we have him backing him up, and I just feel so much better. I mean, what about you, gentlemen? Shoot.
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, I think you kind of alluded to it, and a lot of the people on the YouTube channel were commenting Sean
Yeah.
McVay is not going to be able to resist offense.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah. So I
reality
thought.
strikes, and they kind of did the sensible thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
They went, Fisk in the second round, Tyler Davis. So what was that in the fifth round? I think sixth round, whenever it was,
Yeah.
and we plugged some holes. Now, I'm not sure if I have this depth chart set up exactly right, but I think it's pretty close. And
Yeah, I'd be so
I
close.
yeah, I saw some depth charts that had I think it was ESPN that had Tyler Davis backing up Turner and not playing nose tackle, but I think he'll end up in the middle.
I'd be so too.
So yeah, so it's remains to be seen how good this unit will be, but at least we have some hope, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean that the addition of Fisk and then Davis to back up Brown, just ideal draft selections there for the D line.
Yeah.
So good. So let's do this. Let's just quick off the cusp, off the grade, the defensive line grade before the draft and the defensive line grade after the draft. Ian.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, C because of Turner's defensive rookie campaign, which he should have won. Respect to Will Anderson, but Turner was an interior D lineman producing more than Will Anderson for the Texans. So because of him, I give it a C, but everything else was a coin flip of how you felt about it post draft and free agency. I mean, I don't see how you don't give this at least an A minus, right? At the minimum, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And Mark, before and after grades?
I was thinking C minus before because there was
Yeah.
just, not only was there questions about the talent, there's questions about the depth. And, I would agree with Ian on the A minus, but I think, it's really an incomplete. We got two rookies here.
I mean,
So we kind of got to wait and see. But I mean, I think all indications are Fisk is going to be a really good player. And if he's as good as we think he's going to be, and Tyler Davis is just okay, then and Kobe Turner is a very, very good player. We got some decent depth behind him now. Murchison and Johnson and potentially Brown are backups as opposed to starters, potential starters. So yeah, A minus B plus in there somewhere.
And real quick to that, Mark and Tom, I mean, who knows about these undrafted guys that we've signed who turns out to be like a Michael Hoyt, right? He was an undrafted guy who became a starter. Maybe there's someone in the D line that can prove themselves to be worthy of getting serious playing time. So that would be the hope, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but just going off what we do know and what we've seen on film and so forth, the prove it factor. I would go, this is a D for me before. I mean, you lose Aaron Donald, and it's not. I mean, Kobe Turner's the only reason it's not an F. And without him, this would be hands down the worst defensive line in the league. Wouldn't even be close. And so, and then after the draft, I'll give it a B, just because I do feel like the depth isn't there compared to a lot of defensive lines. I mean, you get teams like the Eagles and the 49ers, right? The two best teams in the NFC have a hockey line of defensive linemen just coming in. They have 8-9 guys that are all studs, and then what do they do midseason? They add another one or two. Let's add Chase Young. Let's add I mean, just it's so just for that purpose. But other than that, I mean, the guys that we do have in there, I do like a lot. So I'll give it.
What did you say? You said a B? Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair.
B. Yeah. So okay, cool. Let's move on to the edge and linebacker. So let's start with linebacker. So didn't do anything there, right? It's the Ernest Jones show. Green dot, fourth year guy. Hopefully the Rams go outside of their comfort zone and re-sign this guy. I think they will. I really do. I don't think they can see losing him.
I hope so.
But on the other side, Roseboom, he was okay, not great. And, how we all feel about Troy Reeder and, and Hummel had, those guys, it is what it is. So it would be nice to see one of these UDFAs emerge. But what are your thoughts on this, Mark?
You were just talking about the inside linebackers?
The inside linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same as last year. It was okay. I mean, Jones, without Jones, this is a really poor group. And the fact that Jones is really our only 3-down linebacker, that's a good thing. And I do think, we don't need to get into it this episode, but there are a couple of UDFAs, Omar Spites especially, that I think is going to have a chance to make this team. Maybe bump one of these guys. It's going to come down to special teams play.
And Mark, is that the LSU guy you're talking about?
Right, Oregon State and then LSU. And Hummel, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's a really good special teams player. So there's that. But, it's an okay unit with Ernest Jones. It's passable. When we only need one linebacker, it's really, really good. And when we need two linebackers, it's okay. Roseboom's not a bad player.
Yeah. Thoughts, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, Ernest Jones is a Pro Bowl level player, clearly. I mean, please, Les Snead, pay the man because he's going to shine somewhere else. Someone's going to pay him big money if we don't have something in the realm of what he earns, right? That's what it's about. And Roseboom, again, I'm probably higher on him than most people, but I thought when he was out there, he did a damn solid job. Again, is he great? Of course not. Is he Ernest Jones level? Of course not. But is he a starting level inside linebacker? I think so, truthfully. He covers better than people give him credit for. He tackles better. And again, there's always going to be things to improve upon. But obviously, the Rams feel comfortable with it. Maybe the LSU undrafted guy, emerges. Just like I was saying about the D line, somebody emerges to earn playing time when they start. Maybe that's him. We'll see how camp turns out for him. But for them to, at this moment, I'm not hating it. But we'll see how it plays out. So, hey, I wish Roseboom another productive season, please.
Yeah. And then, great, just inside linebacker grades real quick, Ian, before and
Yeah,
after. I
I
mean,
mean,
there's no before and after, right? It's before, it's the
no,
same
there is. I
grade.
mean, look, and I'm so high on Ernest Jones, man. I mean, I gotta give it a B minus based off him, and then based off what Roseboom did do last season, and hope that bar continues to be the same and or get better. That's what I give it right now. But I can argue for the C plus depending on it. So I say B minus just because Jones is awesome.
Just Jones. And Mark, what's your grade on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I'm thinking B as well. Maybe a B minus because I don't even want to say it, but we're one injury away from real mediocrity.
I mean, yeah.
So,
From
but
D or an F. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
right,
Yeah,
right.
no, I mean, you can only have, if you have two guys, now one of the guys is off the field a lot. So to be fair, it's not like, so especially with what that's probably why they didn't get deeper here, is they're going to
Yeah.
play probably a lot of that dime,
Yeah, I
dime
expect that.
safety look. So for that reason, I'll give it a B just because, Ernest can hold it down. So,
Yeah.
but let's move into these edges, the more exciting position for us here. And so we got Byron Young and Jared Verse on the front lines here, and second year guy and rookie. And then backing them up is also another rookie, Brennan Jackson, fifth round pick, and then Michael Hoyt. And that's probably a fair estimation, but pretty deep here with Keir Thomas and O'Shawn Mathis and Nick Hampton and Van Valkenburg and so forth. So that's a deep edge group. I don't expect all of those guys to make the 53. But Ian, what's your take on the addition of Verse in particular, our first pick, right? And then also
Yeah.
Jackson to reinforce this group.
Yeah, I mean, look, to win a championship, you have to have multiple guys that can rush the passer and get to the quarterback and make the opposing offense pay, right? And last year that was an issue. Based off this group right here, we're getting towards that. Now we got to see how these second year guys, the Thomas, the Hampton, Valkenburg, and Mathis, all come up. But with Verse, who will officially wear number 8. No, he cannot convince Tutu Atwell to give up the number 5. Everybody, I know everyone wanted that, right? hey, Verse, shoot him next year. Your little signing bonus to get that number 5. Look, at Tutu's going to be a free agent after this year. Verse really wants number 5. He can maybe get it next year. So he's going to be number 8. And there's a lot of people who are a fan of a certain number 8 here in LA. So I think that was a tactical move by Verse to get that number 8. And I see some people say chapter 1 verse 8 once he made that proclamation. So that was kind of cool. And with his impact, I mean, look, he should be a day 1 starter. If he is not a day 1 starter, what a disaster, right? I mean, I think we all agree with that. If he is not starting day 1 on the strong side, what a terrible, terrible day it'll be for Rams football, right? Your first round pick not starting, but I don't expect that to be the case. Power rusher, explosion, let him be in a 3-point stance. And again, I think with him and Byron in his second year being the speed rusher, with now Hoyt being a backup, and then, we have Jackson, who will now be number 44, former team captain at the Washington State. That's a good little group of 4 right there, in my opinion. And I feel good about it. And we'll see how those other guys battle for those remaining roster spots. But for that to be the group of 4 that are going to play the most, right? That's how we do it. Usually 4 edge rushers that play a ton. I feel solid about that as of today. But how about you, Mark? How do you feel, dude?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say I put this chart together, Young and Verse as the starters, and I remember as I was doing this, I was remembering what Michael Hoyt said after the Rams drafted Byron Young and Nick Hampton and O'Shawn Mathis, is something to the effect of, "Hey, you're going to have to come take the starting job from me."
I like
So,
it.
Michael Hoyt, if you're looking at this, I apologize. I do not. I'm not totally giving up on you, and yeah, I agree with you. Verse has got to come through for us. He's got to come through.
Yeah.
Although I would say, and I could be wrong, and Ian, you may be going to disagree with me. Game one, first defensive snap, regardless of what happens, it could still be Hoyt out there for the first snap for the first series, and maybe you know what I'm saying. It may not
No,
be.
I mean,
Go ahead.
Mark, I mean, the first snap of the game for that official, like start, like that. Who gives a damn about that? I know
Right.
there's a lot of people for like the Iron Man streak that Eli had and a Brett Favre had. It was like
Right.
who's out there for the first play. Whoop de do for defense. Are you out there for 99% of the game, or 95, right, at least, and affecting and being out there to be a difference maker? That's what I care about. So,
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure
yeah.
that that fans, if they see
Oh,
Michael
sure, yeah,
Hoyt and Byron Young out there for the first snap, don't panic. You
yeah.
know,
I
he
won't.
is a rookie, and it could take one or two series. It could be just a matter of respect to Michael Hoyt.
Yeah,
But we'll see. But this group is really deep and talented, and there's a couple of guys that aren't going to make this roster for sure. So I feel really good about this group, a lot better than I did last year because of Verse and Brandon Jackson. I think even though he was taken in the fifth round, I think he has a really high ceiling. He's a good fit for this team.
Yeah. Okay, it's time for grades, guys.
yeah.
Ian, before and after, before the addition of Verse and Jackson.
Yeah, before, I mean, truthfully, it was a playoff caliber edge rusher. Was it perfect? Edge rushing unit, right? Young and Hoyd with the other young bucks. So I would B minus before. I think with Verse now, I'm going to give it, objectively, I'm going to give it, or Verse and Jackson being added, I'm going to give it a B plus, borderline A minus. I'm leaning towards more B plus, just because we got to see what Jackson does, right? And we're hoping Verse makes this an A minus to an A plus, of course, but that's my B plus as of right now. I'll say just objectively.
Yeah, Mark, what was the before and after grades?
Yeah, I right spot on with the B minus before. Young has proven himself to at least be a decent edge rusher, and I was going to go A minus. B plus when you consider the frontline guys and potentially better depending on what happens with Verse. But for the depth, I think we have decent depth here now, so I bumped it up to an A minus. But I wouldn't argue with a B plus.
Yeah,
So
I went with a C minus before. I mean,
I
Byron
get
was
it.
good. Byron was good, but I mean, Michael Hoyt just isn't. He's I think he's a solid backup. Like where he's at right now, and he can come in there against their D tackles, rough him up a little bit, lose the bull rush and so forth. But he's just not going to get to the quarterback that much, especially without Aaron Donald on the field. So I feel
Yeah, I
like
feel
it
it.
was pretty light. And then, but after the fact, I mean, I love Verse, one of my favorite players in the draft. And then I also am a big fan of Jackson. And so I'm going to go with an A minus at this point. So I think it was a huge, huge, the defensive line and the edge, as we all saw in that pre draft depth chart review, were, just so reinforced. It's just awesome. So
Yeah,
let's move on to the secondary. So this was done, nothing done in the on the cornerback front. We'll start there, and then we'll
yeah,
get into safeties afterwards. But nothing done on the cornerback front, much like the inside linebackers front in the draft. So it is what it is. Two free agents in Darius Williams and Trey White, and here we go, guys. Are we
yeah.
okay with no cornerbacks drafted? Good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I mean, it would have been nice, right? I mean, I would have liked to maybe, not maybe. I would have liked to have seen them draft some corners, higher in the draft. But I'm not mad about the decision. Maybe they feel better about Kendrick. Maybe they feel better about where Kobe Durant is, and where Tre'Davious Tomlinson is, right? And it is what it is. But I do like Darius Williams coming back. Just like when he signed, people like to hate on Darius when he was a Ram, which still it bothers me. It bothers me. He was a good player for us, everybody. Dang it. So we expect him to play good again, just like he did this last couple years in Jacksonville. And then Trey White's a coin flip, right? We're hoping that he's recovered fully from the two major ligament issues that he's had, Achilles and ACL. But if he ends up being anywhere close to his All Pro level, like a Pro Bowl level corner, I mean, what a home run that is. So we're gambling on that highly to work out. But before and after, even after the non-additions, I mean, I feel like this group is a solid B, and we'll
Yeah,
see if
solid
Trey
B.
White can bump that to a B plus A minus.
Yeah, I feel like Trey White has to stay healthy. Otherwise,
Yeah,
could get we're trotting Kendrick out there and Durant
yeah,
and
yeah,
Tomlinson and John. I mean, it's just I
yeah,
don't know, man. But
yeah.
Mark, what are your thoughts? What are you happy that? Are you okay with the fact that we didn't draft any cornerbacks?
Well, certainly surprised, but if you consider the fact that they decided, I think it was a strategy that they adopted. Let's go get our cornerbacks in free agency and let's address the defensive line in the draft. That seemed to
Yeah.
be the approach. And, signing D Will and T White, that's an upgrade over what we had there last year, right? T White's got to stay healthy, though. So I'm okay with this unit. I'm surprised that they didn't draft at least one cornerback, though. And this unit, considering that, if Lake plays where we think he's going to play, it's going to be a pretty good unit. Again, we got two guys that started a lot last year now as primary backups. That's not a bad situation. And I'll throw out there, someone has been throwing it out on our YouTube channel in the
Mm.
comment section a couple of times, and I don't know. At first, I was like, "No, it makes no sense." But
Mm.
Witherspoon's still out there, right?
Kello is. I mean,
Yeah, he's
him.
still out there, and
Xavier Howard's still out there, Mark. I mean,
yeah,
there's some guys, man. Justin Simmons. I mean, that's a safety, but like, there's some players that have been
yeah.
really good in the
So
league.
if White is struggling a little bit in his comeback, maybe they bring in someone else. I'm not sure. Maybe some restructuring
Yeah.
has to happen and so on. But overall, this unit's it's not remarkable, but it's deep, and I have a lot of faith that they're going to get it done, especially with the guys playing behind them.
Yeah, I'd give it a B also at this point, as long as it's all healthy. But for that reason, maybe it's a B minus, just because I just don't trust this depth at all. I mean, there's nobody on that in that depth that I feel like could step in and just ball at an edge, at one of the corners.
And, and gentlemen, real quick, I mean, Akello, who was our best corner last year, he didn't get signed with us until like late June.
Right?
So I mean, there's still tons of signings on the cheap that could totally happen with the secondary. I mean, any position, because I think the Steelers cut him like a week before that, maybe something around that time period. And we were like, we'll take that guy. So there's always that to be considered with the secondary, especially because injury and experience, all that stuff. So we'll see.
Yep. Post Q1 cuts, the
Yeah.
second wave of free agency. We'll see.
And we did have, I think, five UDFA defensive backs, maybe three cornerbacks, two safeties, something like that.
Yeah. Right on.
Good stuff. Okay, so moving into the safety room. So we we drafted Cam Kinchins, and now so we got the Cam and Cam show with Cam Curl in free agency, and I mean, this was not an upgrade. This was a complete overhaul, right? I mean, basically, your
Yeah.
two guys obviously lost Fuller, but coming into the draft, I mean, this was definitely an F, and in my book, and now with these two guys, I mean, we'll see what happens in terms of a little depth there. Yeast, Taylor, we haven't seen much of Taylor. Yeast is so, but for that reason, and then obviously having a Rook, I'll give it a B post draft. I mean, but these two guys love Curl and Kitchens. How about you, Mark?
Well, I let me say this: if we didn't sign Kinchins, Lake would probably be our cornerback. So, I mean, if we didn't draft Kinchin, so it probably wouldn't be as bad as you think, although it would affect the overall unit. having to move Lake back there. So it may not be that bad, but man, it was a big deal drafting Kitchens because now we can kind of leave Lake where he's best suited to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this unit. I think it's a theme through all these Rams units. The depth may not be what we like, but that's true with 30 other franchises probably, or 28 of them. You can't have everything, and our starters are good, very promising, and a couple guys that maybe we hope we don't have to count on. But I give this unit right now. I'd give it a B with the two cams, at least a B, maybe a B plus. The depth is a little concerning.
Yeah. Ian?
Yeah, I get it. And I think with this safety group, I mean, it's more complicated than the graphic is showing, obviously, and I'll explain. So Quentin Lake would be the starting free safety if Kitchens was not selected, right? And we're hoping Kitchens can earn that spot. He was one of the most productive players at the University of Miami, other than Sean Taylor and Ed Reed, based on their people's, highly spoken words about him. So that's good news for us. And for everyone that's on YouTube, I have the graphic here on my left side, your right side on the screen. I have Cameron Kitchens in number 24. He will be officially number 26 for the Rams. I think he originally claimed 24, or he wanted it, but then speaking of number changes, Darius Williams, who's had like 3 numbers as a Ram, 31, 11 in the Super Bowl season, signed with us to be number 33. And then he's like, you know what? I want number 24. So Darius Williams will be 24 now, guys. Keep an eye out for that. Kitchens will be number 26. And for Kitchens to earn that spot would be fantastic because it keeps Quentin Lake at his best playing ability in the star, in the nickel, roaming that pseudo middle outside area that Ramsey enjoy playing, and that we've tried to train Kobe Durant for, but he's not comfortable playing in that spot. He's a better outside guy. Lake was phenomenal. Sean speaks so highly of Quentin Lake in that star, and the game film don't lie. He was awesome in that spot. So we're hoping Kitchens can retain and earn that free safety spot. Let Cam Curl be the strong safety, laying the boom on people, right? Bam Bam Cam, people like to call him, and Russ Yeast, who was one of the free strong safety guys until John Johnson overtook him. When he got moved to the dime linebacker spot, which is, instead of Roseboom, it'll be him next to Ernest Jones covering the middle of the field. He was good at it. He was really good at that. Just like Taylor Rapp. Taylor Rapp was not meant to be a traditional up top free or strong safety. But when you had him in that dime linebacker safety role, he was fantastic. I think the same will be for Yeast going forward, which he proved it in his game film. So I think all these guys, Kitchens, free safety, Cameron Curl, strong safety, Quinn Lick in the star, Rusty's dime linebacker. I like that group a ton. I like that group so much more than just, our basic 3-4 scheme, which we know we're not going to be in unless it's like a heavy run formation. Unless we're playing the Harbaugh, Ravens or Chargers who just go 3 tight end stuff for the 49ers, right? We got to have more big bodies. So before the draft, I would say I would give it like a B minus based on the Curl signing, Lake, Yeast. And now after Kitchens, based off his productivity at Miami, which is based off, that's what's basing this grade. We got to see him play clearly. But as of today, I give this a B plus. But I'm gonna say A minus based off what I saw from Lake at the Star and what I saw from Yeast at Dime Lapper and what I hope Kitchens will be next to Curl at up top. So I'm gonna give it an A minus after post draft and free agency.
Yeah, to be fair, I did say F, but that was before the Cam Curl signing, so that wasn't in the spirit of the exercise. So
it's all good. It was though. Let's be honest, Tom. It was an F.
No, before Curl and Kitchens, came in. Yeah. So it's all good. So all right, let's move into the offense here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll start with tight end, I guess. So nobody drafted there, right? We were running with Higbee and Long are both hurt, and so we're running with Kobe Parkinson and Davis Allen. And so, not drafting a tight end, Ian?
Well, Rams Nation, I'm sure everybody was in the frenzy on draft day hearing the Brock Bowers rumors, and Peter Schrager, a Rams interconnected media member, Dinah Rossini and others all say, hey, Brock Bowers was the target they were trading up for, and people just denied us. And look, I'm happy the way it's turned out as we go through the rest of this, depth chart. I'm happy that we didn't give up a lot of assets to get Brock Bowers because now our team is more healthy, more depth. No, there would be no Kitchens. There would probably be no Fisk. There'd probably be no Verse. So everything's turned out well, everybody. Let's all take
Exactly.
I'll take a chill pill. So with this group right here, Colby, we gave big money to. I liked his ability when he got thrown to, which is limited for whatever reason. Seattle just didn't use him a ton. Excellent blocker. Young Allen there played phenomenal for a rookie thrown into the fire. I thought he did a good job. So we're hoping Higbee can return sometime this season. I don't know. His knee injury was pretty serious. Obviously, his injury has been, supposedly not, great, and the healing process will take some time. But I feel good about Parkinson and Davis Allen being the 1-2 punch at tight end. So, pre-draft, post-draft, it's all the same. I'm going to give it a solid B+ because I like the ability and the physical stature and strength that Parkinson and Davis Allen both bring to this group, which is what we need in this power run scheme that we do, or gap.
Mark, okay, not drafting a tight end?
I don't have a problem with that. I thought they might later with 10 draft picks. I can see why they passed on it, though. And I need to add something here about the tight ends. Now, last time we talked, I had IR next to Hunter Long, and I got some pushback on the YouTube channel. One gentleman claiming that Hunter Long is good to go, and I don't know if that's true. And I've seen my special assistant. I'm not sold yet. My special assistant found some a feed of someone commenting that Hunter Long was running with the ones. It looks good, but I'm not convinced. But it's only May. So maybe that would maybe indicate that they are feeling better about Hunter Long being ready for opening day. And if that's the case, then we have our 3 tight ends, regardless of what happens with Higbee. So maybe that's why, but still it just makes this Brock Bowers thing even make less sense. But we don't need to dive into that again. But to answer your question.
And in your defense, though, Mark, real quick about Hunter Long. I mean, he did have MCL surgery. I mean, could he be back right now? I mean, but I doubt that. And look, if we're wrong, then hey, we're happy, good for Long. We want to see him out there and perform. But I mean, hey, knee surgery. Let's take our time on those things for a tight end, man. Blocking and receiving, that's important. It's an important ligament, man. So I think he's still recovering. I mean, shoot.
What was your grade, Mark?
Right now, I would give it a B+, and you know why I give it a B+? I mean, I'd lean towards a B, but Parkinson is a blocking machine, and he may be the best blocking tight end we've had in a little while, even better than Higbee. So for that reason, I'll give him a B+.
I'm with you on that. I'll go B+ too, and fair just enough. Because none of those guys have had any, aside from Higbee, who's obviously hurt, have had any kind of volume. I think Parkinson had something like 35 targets, 25 receptions.
What was Seattle doing, Tom? I mean, guys, what were they doing up there with him? He's freaking
they had another tight end, obviously, and so
I know Noah Fant's clean too, but my God, I mean, I don't know, whatever.
I'm looking forward to him. I'm looking forward to him having a breakout year on the receiving side as well. Obviously, we all know he can block, so.
I did want to make one more comment on tight ends. I mean, I love McVay and Snead. Now, last year they were trying to trade up for Dalton Kincaid. Yeah. Was that the case? Now, I'd feel a lot better if we had found out that they were trying to trade up for Sam Laporta. Then I'd feel better about this rumor about they might have been trying to trade up for the wrong guy.
Yeah, no doubt. And then, so let's move over to running backs real fast. What we had Blake Corum, right? I mean, 3rd round pick, and just right behind Kyron. Everybody says, oh, he's right out of the same system coming out of Michigan. That gap scheme with that duo, and just killed it there, right? And so, I mean, there is some concern. I guess he's going to be playing. He's played without his ligament, right? He just had it. It just never didn't have it really repaired. It's just
insane.
And then so guys do that, right? But yes, he's so somewhat of a concern, but we'll see what happens. But that really does bolster that running back room. But Ian, thoughts on this running back room pre and post draft?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to add in, the addition of Mr. Giant Killer Scott, right? like Philly fans like to call him, because we was signed this last, post draft as well. So
Right.
pre-draft, post Scott signing, I'll give it a B. And obviously, Kyron is an all-pro level running back when he is on the field and killing it and staying healthy, which injuries has been an issue these last 2 years. But now, Rivers, who we know can run the rock. We have Corum, who was one of the best players in Michigan Wolverine history based off their fan base's comments. And the stats don't lie, dude was a monster there. That, along with Giant Killer Scott, who is that change of pace back that I know a lot of our fan bases were hoping for someone to be a scat, kind of quick, agile, out of the backfield. Oh my gosh, look at him juke a bunch of guys out. Now we have that, plus the power dudes. So pre-draft, I would say B. Post with the Scott signing, I feel great about this group. I'm gonna go A. Truthfully, I'm going an A.
Yeah,
Hard,
it's a
hard,
D.
solid A on that one for
We don't
sure.
even know what Zach Evans can do, right? And
Yeah,
yeah, it's crazy. So, but health is going to be an issue here, right? So, Kyron has been hurt every year.
yeah.
Quorum's had his share of getting banged up. So, and Rivers has stepped in admirably, but having that change of direction guy in Scott is huge. And then I'm holding out hope for Zach Evans. I really think that this guy can. He's super talented. He just hasn't put it all together. I'm hoping that he gets some chances, but we'll see what
I think
happens.
so too.
Mark,
And real quick, Tom, real quick
yeah,
before we get to Mark, I forgot to share for everyone out there. I know Blake Corum, Michigan fans. I know you're all like, is he going to keep number 2? No, he's going to be number 22. Russ Cease is number 2, and that is who is in the back of my right side here on this graphic. Well, I think one day he'll claim number 2, but 22 is pretty good. There's been some good Rams running backs, number 22 in the deep past, if you guys know. But sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, this unit, going in at least to B. I think Kyron Williams is the top 3 or 4 running back in the league, and now it's got to be an A. I'm wondering if Boston Scott is going to fill the role as the returner,
Ooh,
and
I think
if
so.
yeah, and if he is, that may be Zach Evans' saving grace to stay on this roster because I don't know. I don't think Ronnie Rivers is going anywhere. But yeah, this is a solid unit, man. And I think Zach Evans, Tom, you want to see what he can do. We're going to find out in the preseason. He's going to be getting a lot of carries in those 3 preseason games, I have a feeling.
yeah, I do too. And the Rams typically carry 3 running backs on their 53 man game year roster. So yeah, so something's going to give here, right? And obviously, when healthy, Corum and Williams have a spot. If
Yeah.
Scott's in there, I don't know, so we'll see what happens. But something's going to give. But I think Evans would survive on the practice squad.
I
Um,
think so too.
yeah, and so maybe because of that return position, they do keep 4. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe Rivers would probably survive on the practice squad as well, actually, um, meaning that he wouldn't get claimed by another team.
Yeah.
So yeah, so before and after grades, Mark.
Oh, I think I already said I'd
I'm
give it a
sorry,
B going in and an A at this point for
being
sure.
an A. Yeah, I'll agree with you guys. Being an
If
A.
not a B plus going in.
Yeah.
Kyron Williams is
Yeah.
incredible.
All right,
Yeah, it's good.
moving to the quarterback position. Obviously, no quarterback drafted. Have you guys heard anything on any on Stetson? Have any updates? Anything? God, that has
But-
been a silent as can be, even from
Yeah.
when he originally left the team. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's been a you know
Respect to the Rams, though, they kept their Aaron Donald stuff as tight zipped as could possibly be. Right, no big media outlets were able to get their hands on that big news, so that's good. No one could really get their hands on the Bennett stuff other than a few people, and even them they kept it quiet and under wraps. Which respect to the situation. There was obviously some serious personal stuff going on with Stetson, but I see clips. He's out there throwing the rock. And he must be in a good spot, which is good for him. We're always, proponent of you taking care of yourself physically, mentally, all that stuff. So football is a priority again for him, and so that's nice to see. And with this group, my friends, I mean, Matthew Stafford's the top 10 quarterback minimum. He played like a top 5 quarterback majority of this past season. Garoppolo is a former starter. Bennett's a national champion. I'll be nice about it. His preseason woes, dealing with stuff. And I don't know how you don't give this group an A today before Garoppolo signing. Maybe you would say a B minus just because there was no one behind Stafford, right? That was the thing. Stafford's elevating that to a B minus. But after Garoppolo, Ben's return, I mean, this is an A quarterback room, in my opinion.
Yeah,
What
Mark.
about you? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm just concerned about those first 2 weeks. Bennett better be ready to go, and
Yeah.
hopefully we won't need him. But the fact that we haven't done anything, brought in, I mean, Desert Wind's still there. I should have put him on here. Maybe they carry Desert Wind for those first 2 games, but they have to create a roster spot for him. Is that how it works? I know there's some special rules about quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Tom
it's
Sexton on this.
complicated.
Yeah, but that's maybe what we're going to do is roll for 2 weeks with just Stetson Bennett and cross our fingers. But yeah, this unit's an A just because of Matthew Stafford. I've seen these people throwing out the clickbait of the best quarterbacks in each division and so on and so forth. And
Oh, it's
if
dumb.
I know if Matthew Stafford, if you don't think Matthew Stafford, he is the best quarterback in the NFC West. Conversation's over. So yeah, I feel we're good
Can we
about
can we
this
comment
unit.
about that real quick? I've seen some of this nonsense about Kyler Murray, Purdy. Look
Right.
at guys. Look, everyone has their team and who they root for, but it's like as football fans, everybody out there and all Rams Nation, defend your quarterback from this nonsense. If you are a keyboard warrior, I want to see you defending Matthew Stafford, all right? Because golly, like, how about this? If Matthew Stafford was on the Cardinals, how much better would they be? If Matthew Stafford was a 49er, how many Super Bowls would they probably have? Let's just be real about it, right? Shoot. So I don't want to hear this nonsense. Right, Paul? Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback in the NFC West. Hopefully, hopefully he's able to hear me say that. But I just wanted to share my thought on that, Mark. You got me a little riled up in a good
No,
way
that's fine.
about
You
our
you saw the
quarterback.
same stuff I saw
Oh, I've
probably.
seen
And
just nonsense. I've
yeah,
seen nonsense here, and it's just
yeah.
crazy.
Hey,
Okay.
Paul, you with us?
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Good,
Good, doing
good.
good, man.
Joined a
We're
little
just we're
late
just
here, but
defending our quarterback, man, because
We
we see these things. Kyler Murray's the best in the West. Purdy, it's like, golly, you guys just have no. Your opinion's invalid for everything now. Like whoever's
yeah.
saying those things.
Yeah,
But
you
anyway,
missed it, Paul. We opened up with a 10-minute segment on the top 10 players from Rutgers in NFL history, but you missed it.
and yeah, and then also the best players from Long Island. Um,
woo.
no, I'm kidding. So yeah, we're just reviewing the Paul is joining us here a little late, but for the rest of the segment, so we're just reviewing the depth chart post draft and what happened. So we're into the wide receiver group now, and so we have the three starters: Puka and Cooper Cup and um, Demarcus Robinson, and then the same backups. That the one addition here is Whittington, Jordan Whittington, and so hopefully, gosh, so promising. Didn't get he was like the number 3 at Texas, but behind a couple of other good guys, but just a real stud, especially in the yak and yards after catch. So hopefully he gets some play and can be another late round. I think it's 6th round, be another late round gem, a la the Puka Power picks, right, Paul? So, well, Paul, what we're doing is we're grading pre-draft and post-draft with the position group. So, thoughts on wide receiver and the fact that we really only added one in the 6th round.
Yeah, I still think it's a fairly strong group. I think the Whittington edition, I think the Tyler Johnson edition, um, may not get a lot of publicity, but I think they are rock solid. I think it's a rock solid group. I had also said that I think because of the relationship between Atwell and Kinchins, I'm hopeful. I would say I'm hopeful that that's going to help boost Atwell's production this year. Yeah, Atwell has played a couple seasons in the NFL, so just the grand scheme of things, to have a receiver that's played and produced, albeit in a limited role, is still better than having an unproven receiver in the mix. So Um, I definitely think that it's a position group that's improved post draft without question.
Yep. Ian.
Yeah, guys. I mean, Nakua, rookie of the year. I'm sorry, Stroud, but Nakua broke records. He's rookie of the year. King Cup, we hope he returns back to full strength. Robinson, a great number three option, a playoff caliber receiver every year he's been in the league. Tutu, I think, is underutilized. He's a good player once he gets his opportunities. Tyler Johnson's been in big playoff games. And then Whittington, due to injury, all that stuff we talked about in the last round table, he's got talent, but he's just got to get it all together. And I think Coach Yarber will be able to elevate him to be the best he possibly could be. So, you know, post draft, not much has changed. I mean, obviously this group was an A in my mind, but I think it continues to be an A with Whittington. Nothing changes for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on A.
Yeah.
Mark, do you think we could have done more in the draft?
No, I mean, we all were drilling over the possibility of moving up for a Dunze or someone like that. And that just would have been a luxury. And I think deep inside, we all knew that there were more important things to address. But if Cooper Cup is 100% and healthy and can stay healthy, I would argue that this unit is borderline A plus, at least an A. Whittington, I don't think really changes that. It certainly helps. I think it'd be an A without him. But it'd be interesting to see. He's going to bump someone off here, probably, right? I don't think we're not going to carry 8 receivers. So who
Yeah,
goes?
it's
Probably going to be,
five.
probably going to be Smith, and maybe Tyler doesn't make it. But yeah, I love this unit. We just have to hope Cooper Cup is his old self. We really haven't seen Nakua and Cup together at 100%, I don't think. And that could be a sight to see, especially for Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's move into the O line. Oh God, what a sight for sore eyes, huh, guys? Still reeling from 2 years ago when uh went through 17 of these guys or something like that. It set a record. Um, but where we're at now with Alaric and Jonah on the left, Villa moving to center, Kevin Dotson and the Havenstein monster on the right, holding down the right. So, but
Yeah.
really, coming in, Note Boom, kind of that swing guy. Really, we talked a lot about it. Really, nobody to back up at center. Now Limmer pops in there, and then
Yeah.
we just got a bunch of guys that have seen some action. Leviston, KT Leviston is exciting player, and but these other guys, it's Miller, and there's I think we got a fireman or two in here, and so but yeah, so really only a couple of backup depth players on the offensive line. Ian, thoughts
Yeah.
pre and post draft?
Yeah. Pre-draft, based on all the signings and all that. I mean, shoot. Definitely A. Post draft, we get Levinson, who was thrusted into tackle duties when he was originally a guard. He'll be number 66 out there, Rams Nation. Bo Limmer, who is center or guard, kicked ass, beat the crap out of people at that spot. He will be number 50. Keep an eye out for him in the preseason, everybody. And gosh, much needed depth at those two spots. Guys who can play multiple different locations on the O line, which is what Snead and company like very much. That addition with the big boy signing of Jonah Jackson, Avila moving to center. I mean, I'm going to keep it at an A. Say you.
Yep. Paul, what are your thoughts pre and post draft? How much impact did Limmer and Leviston add to our depth? And will they make the? We carry 8. We almost always carry 8 um, uh, offensive linemen. We get. I don't know if people know this. You get one free offensive lineman. If you don't carry 8 offensive linemen, you can only have 52 on your active roster. So it's basically an 8th offensive lineman gives you free depth and or free 53 man. So 8 men, always 8 offensive linemen. Um, Adding Limmer and Leviston, do they make the 53? Paul?
Yeah, I think the Limber edition it's is just phenomenal. I think that was such a great draft pick. By the way, little tidbit of information. We talked about Jordan Jefferson being a Puka Power pick, the kid from LSU on defense, leading combine in reps. Guess who led the entire combine in bench reps? It was Bo Limmer. So that's how impressive this kid is. Across the board, Limmer can back up at all three interior positions. I think McClendon is also a great player. Um, I think when you factor in Limmer with the addition, now that we have Jackson and Dotson and Noteboom, I just think it's just a great position group. I think this is probably, in my opinion, the strongest position group on the roster, without question, is O line.
Amazing. This thing has been completely rebuilt, except for the Havenstein monster from the Super Bowl. It's amazing. Mark, what are your thoughts? Do you think we could have done anything more here? Are you happy with what we did on the Limmer and Leviston
No,
picks?
I'm happy. I think Paul was spot on. I did some research afterwards, and Limmer might have been, by expected draft position, might have been one of the best values in the entire draft. And I know you say 8, and can we carry 9? How big of a deal is it if we carry 9? What's it going to cost us?
Never.
Because
They've never done it, and it just it just takes away from And to be honest, it's also going to be I think with the change. Well, actually, the change in the kickoff rule they might carry one more, right? I mean, because it's much more of a this offensive line becomes much more prominent in special teams.
I just really want to keep Leviston, Noteboom, Limmer, and McClendon. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm coming from. But if it's going to be 8, it's going to be a good decision, a tough decision. It's a good problem to have. Someone's going to maybe Noteboom gets traded. I don't know. But depending on it, maybe if they see what they like, if they like what they see with Leviston, they can move on from one of these other guys. But yeah, man, this is I know teams and defenses have a different challenge facing the Los Angeles Rams these days as opposed to a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, I think everybody's giving this group an A for sure. So we lost Ian temporarily here. So we're going to go on to special teams, right? So, we got Evans back as our punter, and our long snappers intact with Ward. New place kicker in Cardi drafted, and obviously kicker woes last year, like Paul points out, probably cost us a couple of games. And then with this new kickoff rule, we don't know who's going to be our kickoff returner, right? Corum. Is it going to be Boston Scott? We don't know. So, but are you glad we selected a kicker in the draft, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if the kid holds down the spot and the kid turns out to be clutch, it's a great move. There's no question about it. So there's a lot made about what should you have. Should you draft a place kicker or not? I mean, in this scenario, they got the best place kicker in the draft. So Cardi. So the kid's definitely got potential. There's no question about it. The returner situation is the one that I find the most intriguing. It seems like between even the UDFA, like with Logan, who has a great track record for returning kicks, they got about like 5 players that could legitimately return kicks on this roster. So it's gone from a position that was almost given not even given a second thought. Now all of a sudden it's a major focus, which I think it can be a real weapon for the Rams. So so I think Scott would be a great choice. I think Logan would be a great choice. They got a couple of other receivers that have that experience. So I think this is something the Ram Nation has not seen in a really long time and would welcome it. I think the most interesting thing will be place kicker, how this turns out. I don't know how much rope Cardi's going to really have this season. I think the Rams are going to be if there's any sign of shakiness, I think the Rams are going to bring in a veteran kicker. But the kid's got. I will say this though, Cardi's got the demeanor. If there's any young kid that you bring in to hold down the spot, Cardi's got the demeanor to do it. He's laid back. He's quiet. He's got that quiet confidence. So I'm really hoping that he does lock it down.
Yep. So, Ian, thoughts? What are your grades pre and post draft special teams? With going
Well,
from no kicker to the best kicker in the draft.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how. Look at man, I like what Evans was, punting the ball. Obviously, there were some things that McVay commented he could be better at. Rookie, yeah, I thought he did an admirable job. Long snapper, we just hope the dude just doesn't hit the dirt when he's hiking it right. That's really it, and hopefully Ward can just execute that and be clean. Well, we had no kicker. I don't know how you don't have this a D minus F, right? If you don't have a kicker, I mean it's just an F. I don't know how you don't have it any other way, truthfully. So with young Cardi here, Money Cardi, I see all the nicknames being thrown around everywhere. Playboy Cardi, like the rapper, I've seen too, obviously with the K instead of the C. With Scott being a possible returner, maybe Corum and maybe even Whittington, right? I mean, this unit is at least a B now, in my opinion. At least a B. So that's maybe a little more generous than probably I'm giving it. An F to a B leap is pretty big, but we have a kicker who is very productive in college. We have Scott who has been proven to return kicks, both punt and kick return, and be good. And then I don't know, man. I mean, I hope this to be an A. Please, Cardi. Please don't stress us out and lose us games because of the kicking woes.
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
I give it a B as of right now. How about that?
Mark, one thing that isn't on here, and it's really a bit difficult to put on here because it's it's a group of players, but our coverage teams, right? And that was the bane of the Rams special teams last year. Obviously, the kicker got a lot of the most focus, but I mean that coverage team cost us definitely the Baltimore game and probably another game or two. I think it was the Giants, almost the Giants game.
Yeah, almost Giants.
And so, I mean, hopefully that gets worked out, but it's really hard to say, right? Because we don't know who's on that team right now, and so forth. It's kind of a shocker they retained the special teams coach. Actually, that's the one thing that I just don't understand. We're special teams in the league, and you keep the coach. So, but anyway, having said all that, Mark, thoughts on special teams pre and post draft?
Well, I mean, I think the data's out there that we had by far the worst special teams unit in the NFL. I mean, it wasn't even close. It was legendarily bad, if that's a word. It was really bad. And remember, Ward got hurt. He missed a lot of the season. I don't think that was really that part of the problem, though. We had a strategy of fair catching kicks all season long, so we had virtually no return yardage, and we had no kicker. So, I mean, Ethan Evans was the bright spot, and he was just pretty good, I think. So, yeah, it's a big improvement. Now, for you listeners, I have as the returners Boston Scott, question mark, Blake Corum, question mark. I kind of doubt if Corum is the running back we think he is, he's probably not the returner. But then again, we had talked earlier, I think it was Paul or Ian, or maybe it was you, Tom, that said that the return with the new strategy is going to be think of the returns as the kickoff returns as a running play, and if that's the case, maybe they do use Corum in that role. But yeah, it's you got to feel a lot better about this unit and the coverage, like you alluded to, Tom. It comes down to the coaching, really. That's the way I see it, and it just wasn't happening. So if they get that squared away, the coverage part of it, this unit will be a solid B.
Yep, yeah, B. I think B's all around. Okay, we're going to summarize the grades here on what we have on just real quickly here. So post draft grades: defensive line A minus. This is the average of what we all said. Inside linebacker, I think it's the worst grade on the team at B minus, just because we pretty much only have one guy, and then a bunch of other guys that probably wouldn't make any other roster, quite frankly. Roseboom and Hummel and these other guys would, or they. Let me just put it this way: they would all probably survive the practice squad and not get claimed. At edge, A minus. cornerback group B, safety group B plus, tight ends B plus, running backs A, quarterback A, wide receiver A, offensive line A. You guys notice a trend here on offense versus defense, and special teams B. So yeah, and if the Havenstein, I'm sorry, the if we get some of these injured guys back on the tight end, maybe that'll move up. So uh, yeah, so we wanted to move into another just topic to wrap up here, which was these conversations about Matthew Stafford and him wanting more guaranteed money. And so it's interesting that he says more guaranteed money, not more money, period. And so just to kind of recap, Stafford's made in this new deal from 2022 till now, he's averaging about $42,000 a year, $42 million a year, sorry. And no matter how you cut it, this year he lost a lot of his guarantees. So in this year he's only guaranteed. Well, right now he's guaranteed is 31 million in salary plus 6.5 option bonus, so 38.5. But 2025 is really, I think, what he's after in terms of guarantees. He's only guaranteed $10 million next year, and on what would amount to even a pretty low compensation in terms of 28.5 million, and 2026 37.5, which are they're not void years, but they're they were put in there in order to spread out his signing bonus over 5 years instead of over 3. So bottom line is, if he's basically saying, hey, we got to start looking at next year, which is fair enough. It's the number one position in the NFL. All these guys have, the top guys like he is, top 10 guys have, 4 or 5 year guaranteed deals. And, obviously what's different about him is he's a little older. McVay says he's going year to year and so forth. But I think he's looking for a little bit more than 10 million guaranteed next year, which is really all he would end up with if he did get injured. And I think that's really what he's looking for, is injury guarantees. So anyway, that's kind of the summary. What do you think happens in this, Paul? Do you think they re-up him and give him, another, $25 million option bonus guaranteed or something like that, going into an injury guaranteed going into the season?
This is going to be an interesting scenario. I personally think he has 3 years left in the tank easily. That's my opinion. I think he has 3 quality years.
Agreed.
Now, how it shakes out for the front office, that's a different story. I think they also agree. I think they know that as well. But how much can you really lock up in staff? I think Optimus 9, he is their key to another a trophy. I agree with Ian. I think he's tops. Still top. Ian, how'd you rank him before I logged on?
Oh, he's top 10, undebatable. Your football knowledge is revoked. Your opinions are revoked if you don't think so. Top 5 based on his end of season play and what the throws he was making. Yeah, let's be honest, Rams Nation. Defend your quarterback if you see some nonsense on the interweb sphere.
I'm glad I missed all that convo, because I would have probably fallen out of my chair. So there's no question about it. Optimus 9 is the engine that drives the machine. There's no question. He's going to put up some ridiculous numbers this year. He really is. And now if that running game turns out to be a sledgehammer ground game like we all are anticipating, he's going to be even deadlier because of the play action aspect of it. So, the front office is astute enough of how to work out the numbers so that they don't compromise their entire future moving forward. But I think they will give him. I don't think they're going to give him as much as he's asking, but I do think they'll work it out. I do think he'll be with the Rams for another 3 years.
Yeah, interesting. You're just looking at his current contract, Mark. He's pretty much getting $26 million in option bonus, and it's usually it's been guaranteed the year before, right? So a lot of these guys, and especially quarterbacks, get their next year's compensation guaranteed at the beginning of the league year this year, right? So everything's guaranteed a year in advance, and that's how they do it. So it's a rolling guarantees instead of, aside from their signing bonus, which is guaranteed all up front and then amortized. That's how these annual guarantees are done. And then there's also this $11.5 million roster bonus, which isn't guaranteed in advance. If he shows up and he, makes the team, which he will if he just shows up, then he gets that as well. So I think that's what they could do. They could just say, all right, let's just do what we've done the last couple of years. You get your $26 million option bonus guaranteed for next year now, and maybe half your salary. You get $10 million guaranteed for next year of your 31, and then we'll just do another 11 million, and keep paying you $40 million a year as long as you want to play. Basically, I can definitely see that, but that's a lot more guarantees, and I think he probably deserves it. Your thoughts, Mark?
I'm sorry. I'm just kind of all over. I'm kind of done with the contract talk. I mean, he deserves whatever he gets, and I just hope the Rams can figure it out. I wish it hadn't even gone public. I watched his special, him talking about he wants two more Super Bowl wins, and loved him for it. And then a couple weeks later we hear this: he needs more money. He can make so much money on advertisements and promotions and sponsorships, and I hope the Rams figure it out, but I can't even wrap my arms around that kind of money and needing that kind of money for security. I get it; it's a business, but I don't know. It just doesn't excite me. Even pondering this decision the Rams are going to have to make, and I don't know how much leverage he really has. How much leverage does he really have? The Rams want him, obviously. Does he have other options? Is he just going to walk, or the Rams going to trade him? How's that work? Where is he going to go? Is there another team that's going to latch onto him in some, godforsaken situation? I don't know. I just hope they figure it out and they put it behind him.
I'll answer your question. I mean, he has 2 points of leverage, right? He can just retire and just say, well, okay,
but where's he getting his security then? Where's he?
Well, no, but he's not. But he's also, but he's not playing. He's retired and he's made a ton of money, right? He and what's his name from the from the Falcons.
Cousins,
Cousins have dominated the contract situations over there.
I mean, then you got Ernest Jones sitting there asking for his new contract, and he may want to lay into Matthew Stafford a couple times in training camp here.
But the bottom line is he could retire, and then the leverage there is, hey guys, where are you going to find a quarterback of my magnitude, to take all these other guys to the promised land for, 35, 40 million a year? The answer is nowhere, right? I mean, that's what what's his name from the
I guess it's just frustrating to me that we're back here talking about more money for our quarterback again, but that's just how I feel about it. I love the guy, but
it's not necessarily more, it's just guaranteeing it, and so forth. So and then of course his other his other point of leverage is and guys do this. We've seen plenty of guys do this. I don't think Stafford's this way, but when money's involved and agents get involved, he has a lot of money guaranteed if he gets injured. And so if Stafford, he's pretty banged up. If he were to get hit and he got, if he had to retire due to injury, there'd be a lot of money flowing his way. So that's the other thing. I don't think.
I hope they figure it out. I don't read me wrong. I love the guy. He's probably my favorite quarterback ever. I just hate having to talk about this.
It's part of the game. Anyway,
in fairness to Optimus, though, they have done a pretty bad job of protecting him. Yeah. You look at the last 2 seasons, the guy's been laid out. How many quarterbacks did they have a spinal injury? So it's like they have not done it. They have laid him out there. I mean, so in all fairness, Tim, I'm surprised it only came up this season. I'm sure it's come up before.
Yeah, I mean, he could take the Tom Brady route as well and say, hey, use my money to improve this team.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
think he just wants the security of like, hey, you're not gonna move on from me, right? Like, guarantee me more cash, so I'll be the guy because I want to keep playing, right? The all in that you referred to is YouTube, NFL Network special, and based on this contract, based on the other free agent signings in this 2-3 year window, I think that's really what it is. He wants that commitment, like, hey, I'm ready for 3 years. Are you ready for another 2 to 3 years with me? Give me
yeah,
some cash, give me security, and then we're all on the same page. Let's go win a championship and right after the sunset. So,
I think
hey Rams,
they'll work it
just
out. He's not
yeah,
asking for a record-breaking
no,
contract. He's not asking
no,
for
no,
a Dak type of $60 million a year kind of
yeah,
money.
Yeah,
So
and I have to apologize when I hear the numbers. I can't even wrap my arms around it, to be quite honest with you. And I haven't really seen it on paper in front of me. I just hear new contract guarantees and such, and it just annoys me just a tad.
So,
no, I
guys,
feel you.
quick pop quiz here, or pop poll, I should say. Um, Based upon where we're at right now, and I know we talked about this, through reviewing the depth chart, that
Mhm.
guys like Akillo and Dotson and stuff were added later on in June kind of time frame, post
Yeah.
June 1 cuts and stuff, and trades. But what where would you put the Rams record? What would be your record prediction right now? Your win total prediction in based upon the I mean, we know who we're playing. We just don't know when we're playing them. So the schedule release is just for everybody out there. It's not a lot of schedule releases are, who are they going to play? Well, in the NFL, it's predetermined. The only thing the schedule release does is tell you when you're going to play them in week 1 through 18 and when you're biased. So we know who we're going to play. Paul, based upon this record we just went through, every position group's got a B or better, except for the inside linebackers are B minus. The whole offense is an A. What's your win total prediction preliminary on 5/7/24?
12-5. I think they're
Well,
gonna have
That'd
a
be
12
great.
win. I think they're gonna have a 12 win season.
Ian,
Ah, God. I mean, look it. We're gonna be realistic here. I think 10 wins is acceptable. I think 10 wins based off who we play, right? Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills, Jets, non-injured most likely. We got to play the West too. The Cardinals got better. Seattle got a little bit better. Niners are always a pain in the ass. I think 10 wins is realistic, and I think if we get the 10, we're getting in the tournament, and who gives a damn? But that's what my number is. 11 or 12, fantastic. 13, 14, obviously number one seed territory, but I think 10 wins is the double digit 10 wins would be fantastic, and I'd be happy with that outcome, truthfully.
Mark,
I'll split the difference and say 11. I think this team, even without Aaron Donald, is a little bit better overall than last year. And we got off to a bad start. Got a young team. Got to
yeah,
avoid that slow start this year. But we still got Matthew Stafford, these receivers, a great offensive line. Tough schedule, really tough schedule. But I'm going to go with 11-6. I was going to originally say 12-5, and then I realized to get out of that schedule with just 5 losses might be asking too much. So I'll go with 11-6.
yeah, I think that's a good. I'm going to go 11-6 also. Now, the reason I ask you, or one of the reasons I ask you guys is, get your preliminary thoughts here, and we'll, once we get the schedule and look at everything, and we're going to dive a lot more into this. But
Yeah.
do you guys know that the Las Vegas odds for the Rams? Do you know what the Las Vegas odds for the Rams over under win total is?
Let's hear this. Let's hear this nonsense. I don't know.
8.5.
Yeah. I'll bet the over on that.
Yeah, and they are the eighth. You know how many teams make the playoffs in each conference, right? 7, and they are the eighth team. They have the eighth best odds to make the playoffs. So the teams to make the playoffs ahead of them are the Niners, the Falcons, the Cowboys, and the Lions to win their divisions, and then the Eagles, Packers, and Bears to get in as wild cards, and the Rams are a distant eighth. And yeah, not getting a lot of love here
No.
in Las Vegas, guys. And I can tell you, I'm going to be putting down a pretty penny. I'm trying to figure out which way to go. Is it bet them to make the playoffs? Is it, they have some great odds to win the NFC at 15 to 1, and so 14 to 1, and so yeah, a lot of different ways to go here. I'm thinking the over. I mean the odds to make the playoffs are almost even money, right? Just over. You get bet 100 to win 110, so a little bit of a bump. But I'm thinking you take just go over 8.5. I mean, maybe they win 9 games and don't make the playoffs, and you still win. So yeah, that eight. The Ram bottom line is the reason I brought this up, not to get into a betting segment on Rams Up podcast, but it's more than anything that our sentiment is vastly different than the public sentiment on the Rams. The Rams are being undervalued quite a bit out there. So,
And the Aaron Donald thing probably has a lot to do with that.
yeah.
Yeah. Goes that way.
What are you going to do now? You lost the best defensive player of the generation. So interesting. Well, good stuff. Great segment, guys. Thanks a lot, and we'll come back next week. Maybe what we do is, Mark, you had heard that the potentially the I don't know why they're so covert about when they're going to drop this schedule, but they don't give us a date.
Well, I think they have now.
Oh, they have now. Okay, so
Yeah,
next Wednesday.
they're saying the 15th.
Okay, so maybe what we do is what we could do is do the roundtable a day later next week on the 15th and review the schedule and how that impacts the Rams and where our who we're playing when, who we start off with, and night games and Monday night, Sunday night, and Thursday night, and when our bye week is, and get into all that stuff. So we'll plan on seeing everybody next Wednesday. Probably record Wednesday, drop it late Wednesday or early Thursday morning on a scheduled release roundtable. So good stuff. Thanks everybody. And this is Tom at Ramsbeat on X, joined by Ian, Mark, and Paul. As always, thanks again, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Yes. Gosh, guys, football is here. It's here. It basically is. Once schedule release happens, it's a little 2-month break, and now we're back in it. Happy to be here.